welcome to AMC Movie Talk for movie fans. I'm Crystal Kennedy, and this is the show where we bring you the day's biggest movie news, and of course we give you insight into what it all means. Joining us, as always, is AMC's Editor-in-Chief, Mr. John Campea.
Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, coming to you live from right here at the Stream.TV studios here in Hollywood, California, and we are so glad you decided to make us part of your day.
We also have joining us today AMC's Christian Harloff.
Hello! I don't know where the camera is, but hello!
Love the little Cockney.
I was going to do John Lovett.
Hello.
We also have AMC's production manager, Mr. Dennis Sen.
This is my last show for a couple of weeks. I'm gonna be gone. Gone to France.
Yeah, it's France this year. This is about the same time every year go away with family. You're in your family take vacation. France this year. Nice.
And we also have very special guest today from Screen Rant, Mr. David Griffin.
Hi everyone, it's great to be back. It's my second time on the show. First time with doing it with Mr. Campea. It's so nice to be on here again.
What a day this is for you.
I know, it's a huge day, it's a big day.
Mark that in your calendar.
It's a big day.
All right, guys, the last time we saw actor Orlando Bloom in the Pirates of the Caribbean film was back in 2007 in Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End. However, according to Bloom, he may be returning for Pirates 5. Bloom recently said the following: "There have certainly been some discussions about it, and I'm open to it. That whole experience working with Johnny and Gore was really amazing for me." John, would it be a good idea for Orlando Bloom to return for the 5th Pirates movie?
I don't see how they can mess this up any more than they already have. I mean, so why not? I mean, look, by the time the 3rd Pirates of the Caribbean was done, I mean, actually, by the end of the 2nd one, I was saying it was time to move on from Bloom and Keira Knightley's characters. I liked Bloom and I liked Keira Knightley, but it just felt like this series needs to focus on Johnny Depp and they need to move on. So they still had them in the 3rd one. 3rd one was this hot, steaming pile of mess. And then they got rid of Knightley and Bloom, and they went into Pirates of the Caribbean 4, and it might have been the worst of the bunch. Although, no, I take that back. It wasn't the worst of the bunch. It had some redeeming qualities, but still not very good. Is it good for Orlando Bloom to come back? Yes. Orlando Bloom needs something because, you know, after the first Lord of the Rings series ran its course and he was done with Pirates of the Caribbean, a lot of people thought, well, now this guy's going to take off. And he did that one thing with Kirsten Dunst. What was that one?
Elizabethtown, I think.
Yeah, something like that.
Crowe
Oh, yeah, the Cameron Crowe. That's the one.
Yeah,
it was no
terrible.
good, and he wasn't very good in it. So he hasn't really been able to find any traction. So the Hobbit relaunching is great for him, coming back to Pirates of the Caribbean. So, but is it good for Pirates of the Caribbean? Like I said, they did one without him. It didn't work, so why not try something different? Anyway, Christian, how do you see it?
Yeah, I'm on the same page. I tapped out after the first one.
I love the first one.
Yeah, the first one was a lot of fun, and I think that they did what a lot of studios sometimes do. It's like, oh, this was a hit, so let's make another one, and then another one. It's a trilogy. Now there's a 4th one, and now they're just kind of grasping at straws to get something going. And to bring him back, sure, like you said, John, why not? I think that he'll have a lot more, not a lot more, but he'll have more clout after the next Hobbit movie comes out because it looks like he's in the forefront a little more. He certainly was in the last one. Legolas had a lot to do, so we'll see what Legolas does in the next one. See if we care if he's in it. But for his career, sure, it works.
David, what about you?
I think it's just like a tale of two co-stars. I mean, you have Keira Knightley did the indie thing, had a lot of great success with it, you know, went on to do just great movies. She's still doing well. And then Orlando Bloom tried Elizabethtown, just didn't work out. I think he does his best work when he's in blockbusters. I even like Troy. I'm a big Troy supporter. I thought that was a fun movie. And he played a great role. I think he needs to stay in these movies to keep his career going. I think he can after the success of this next Hobbit movie.
Sorry, do you think Troy hurt him though? I mean, because he was playing like I agree with you that he played it well, but he went from being Legolas, and then he was such a sniveling wuss in that movie and not tough at all. I wonder if that hurt his action star. But I agree. I actually like Troy as well.
If Troy had been beloved, I don't think it would have hurt him, regardless of the type of the role it was. But when you put the two back to back, right, it was kind of a sniveling character.
Yeah, holding a guy's leg as the other guy's fighting. It's just like
and then you put that with the fact that most people didn't like the film. And some people clearly did. Then I think those two things together, I think that probably did hurt Dennis.
Plus, then you add Elizabethtown to that.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of Cameron Crowe, but that was not a good movie. And yeah, this is good for his career because he has The Hobbit coming up, but that's ending also.
Yeah.
And you might as well just come back to a franchise that you were known for and were successful at. And I think these movies, you know, these are kind of like when we're talking about like the Transformers franchise. It's like kind of critic-proof at this point. Like even though they're making a little bit less domestically, internationally they're making a ton of
Still
money.
made $1 billion.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so
they're
I
still
don't
making bank.
So I don't think I don't think the next one is going to fail. I think it's still going to do well. It just does well overseas.
All right, what's next?
According to movie news site Coming Soon, Sylvester Stallone is still moving full speed ahead with a 5th Rambo film to be titled Rambo: Last Blood, and he plans to direct the film himself. Christian, is it too late for another Rambo film?
No! It's not too late. I finally get to talk about Rambo every time I watch it on the computer as you guys talk about it. Yes, this is the one that you want to do. This is the tone. Rambo 4, by the way, was the tone that the Expendables should have stuck to. The 80s action feel, because that's what 4 did. Rambo 4, I loved. I thought it was exactly what it needed to be, old Rambo. And he wasn't trying to do too much. He just got on the turret and just shot. Perfect. Do that. Let's see what happens in number 5. He's back home. Who's he fighting? I don't know. There are
I was
rumors.
about to say something really inappropriate, but anyway, please continue.
Well, he was apparently, the rumors are that he might be fighting like a group of like white supremacists. Would be interesting to see him fighting on home turf. We've never seen that before.
I heard Mexican drug cartel.
Maybe. So whatever it is, sign me up, Rambo. What do we got next? How are you going to go out, buddy? Blaze of glory.
I'm a big fan of that TV show Parks and Rec, and I just remember this one episode when the TV went out and Chris Pratt is trying to entertain anybody in his house who decides to reenact the entire Rambo 4 script. And the camera comes back to him and he's like, "You bring the guns?" "No, we didn't bring guns." "You ain't changing nothing." But I'm going to disagree with you a little bit on the sense that I don't think Rambo 4 was an 80s style action film. I never saw any film in the 80s that was that graphic and that gory. It's almost like I rewatched that final battle sequence again this morning. So I went back and just watched that. Oh my goodness! How that movie wasn't an NC-17 is beyond me, and I'm with you. I liked it a lot, actually. Yeah. But one of the reasons I really like the story is because if it's true, because I haven't seen any confirmation other than Coming Soon themselves. So let's put that little asterisk beside that this is still, let's call it maybe right now. But if it's true, the title excites me because we've always talked about how that first Rambo movie, First Blood, was such a different movie. It was almost an anti-war movie in many ways.
It was.
The first one.
It absolutely was.
It was a powerful character study with some action. Rambo's 2 and 3 became really fun popcorn 80s icon movies, but they were so different from the first one. Calling this Last Blood gives me, could they be going back to that tone of the first one? I would just love it. Anyway, Dennis.
I'm the opposite of you guys. I did not like the last Rambo.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought you did for some reason.
No. I mean, I think I got some flack last time because I mentioned how ultra violent it was, but that's not what turned me off. I just wasn't entertained by it. So for me, it was just like, heads popping up, blah, 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 blah. But, if Expendables 3 had done super well, I don't know if we'd be talking about a Rambo 5 right now. I think we'd be talking about Expendables 4, but...
Sure, but if Stop or My Mom Will Shoot did well, we might not be talking about Rambo 4 either.
Exactly. So, for me, it's too late. It was too late a while ago.
What do you think, David?
It seems like he's not having as much success with the films he's been doing lately. His last 5 movies have not performed that well at the box office. Expendables 3, the latest example of that. I wonder if this niche of guys that are 60 plus, Schwarzenegger and him, doing these action movies, these kind of retro 80s, early 90s action movies, is kind of wearing off. I mean, you have Denzel and Liam Neeson having success, and it's a different kind of movie. They do like the more gritty, kind of, somewhat realistic action movies. But now, I just don't know I don't think people want to see it anymore. I mean, I think the box office has shown that they don't want to see it. Expendables 3, I think, proved that.
But I think that's because just what you said with those other movies is that the tone is way off, and it was the gimmick that they're playing off. Expendables 3 was, look how fun it is to have all these guys. Everyone's in on the joke. They were just goofing around, and Harrison Ford's going to make some one-liners, and that's it. As where these Liam Neeson movies you're talking about do have a more serious tone, and regardless of what you thought about Rambo 4, it's still stuck to that. It's trying to be a serious movie, and the team that they had together, I want them to stick to that theme because the original 1972 novel by David Morrell, First Blood, is an incredible novel. I like to see them go back to that, the way Rambo thought in this movie.
How different would the landscape be right now? Because you're talking about those old 80s style action films with the old 80s actors. How different would our landscape be right now if just a couple of years ago, that Schwarzenegger film, The Last Stand, if that had done what I contend to be box office business that it deserved. I thought that was a really fun movie, and nobody went to see it at all. But if that one had made let's say 90 million domestically, as opposed to like the 20 or something it made domestically. How different would our landscape be right now with Rambo films or whatever? Would the conversation be different?
Absolutely, because what Stallone did right and what Schwarzenegger did wrong, in my opinion, was that Stallone, when he wanted to revitalize his career, he came out the gate with Rocky, the latest Rocky,
went back
and
to what works.
Rambo, and Schwarzenegger just threw out The Last Stand, and everyone's like, well, what's that? Where's Terminator? Where's Conan? And now it's a little too late for him because he's just not hitting. Sabotage was a stink pile, and
Well, we'll find out next year with Terminator
Right.
how too late it is.
Right.
All right, folks, we reached that part of the show for buy and sell. Here's how this works. In front of her, Chris Lee's got a few other items in the world of movie news. She's going to run them down, and those of us at the table are simply going to say whether we buy it or sell it. So, Chris Lee, what do we got?
As many of you know, Sony Pictures is planning on bringing us the Spider-Man spin-off movie, Venom. In a recent interview, writer and director of the new Venom film, Alex Kurtzman, said the following about the upcoming project. The idea is that you can do things with Venom that you can't do with Spider-Man. Venom is the representation of every line that will get crossed. He's a much darker character. Dennis, buy or sell Kurtzman's comments?
I'll buy them for now. I mean, he's right. It is a much darker character, and they're going to have to do what the comic books did, which is take this guy that was a villain and kind of make him more of an anti-hero and make things that are more, sympathetic or empathetic about him. And also, I guess he's going to do stuff like kill people or torture people, the stuff that Spider-Man won't do. And so we have to wait to see the movie, but hopefully for now, I buy it.
I'm very curious about which incarnation of Venom they're going to do because
Eddie Brock or Flash
Yeah,
Thompson.
exactly. Because the current incarnation, if I'm not mistaken, I believe is Flash, and if I'm not mistaken, I believe he is currently in the Guardians of the Galaxy. I believe Venom is one of the members of the Guardians. I believe Tony Stark introduced him in and brought him into Peter Quill and said, here's your new member of Guardians of the Galaxy, which is kind of weird. So it does depend on the thing. But I do like the idea that they're not just going to, look, after what they did with Jamie Foxx in The Amazing Spider-Man 2, which I still liked The Amazing Spider-Man 2, but so much was wrong with it, and the jokey, comedical things they did with Jamie Foxx, little part of me feared for a moment that, what if they did that with Venom? I mean, what if they turned Venom into a slapstick kind of, I'm bad, oop, I fell down, kind of character. These comments, the words I use to describe them are reassuring. These comments are reassuring to me, at least anyway, that they seem to be going in the right direction. But you're right, it's totally dependent on which incarnation they're going to go with, which Venom they're going to do. David?
I want to see, personally, the Rick Remender started back about 3 years ago, this great arc with Flash Thompson as Venom instead of doing the whole Eddie Brock thing. And he's crippled. He doesn't have his legs. Flash is a former war veteran, and he wears the alien symbiote as his armor almost. He goes out on missions, but he can't have that armor on for too long for fear of the symbiote taking over him and controlling him. But it's a great story. And I like using Flash as kind of like you said, that anti-hero. He gets things done. He does secret missions, kind of black ops missions. And he's a really interesting character. I mean, Eddie Brock is great too, and that's more like Todd McFarlane stuff. I mean, that's good, but I would love to see the Flash Thompson story. I think that could be good.
I forgot to say bye. By the way.
You know what else, John? And a couple people on the chat board were asking, when I read this, I wondered about the rating. When saying it would go
Yeah.
much darker, will that change the rating? Will it still be PG-13 or will it go R?
It's PG-13.
It's PG-13, but and that's a great question. I think, though, what Expendables 3 really definitively showed us, and what I think Die Hard, not the last Die Hard movie, but the one previous to that, what I think those movies showed us is that you can be, if you don't show a lot of blood, you can be really, really violent and still get
Even
PG-13.
Winter Soldier.
Yeah, Winter Soldier is quite...
The comments in general I'll buy because it looks like you guys said, he's got a grip on the character. And I would buy it a lot more if the studio execs were saying it, because it seems to be after Andrew Garfield's comments yesterday that it's the studio that's making these movies fall down. It's almost like what happened back when there was a different regime with Fox. And when Wolverine Origins had its problems because there was too many cooks in the kitchen. That's where Spider-Man the franchise needs to win me over, because right now it clearly showed in that last movie there are too many people giving thoughts. Well, the tone needs to be this, that needs to happen here, that character needs to do this, and it's a mess. Let whoever's directing direct, do their thing, have a couple notes here and there, and let's have the character as it is, because right now they have to do a lot to win me back.
I got to tell you, though, I read those Andrew Garfield. For those of you who don't know, Andrew Garfield came out and said, basically, and everybody knows how much I love Andrew Garfield. I'm the biggest Andrew Garfield. I think he was robbed of an Academy Award for The Social Network when Christian Bale won it in a category he shouldn't have even been in. So I'm a huge Andrew Garfield lover. Not digging this whining not digging this whining from Andrew Garfield. You know what? Every movie has studios who put notes in, whatever, some more than others, sometimes really bad, sometimes really good if you listen to Peter Jackson, right? But when it comes down to it, you are handed a basket of fruit, right? Now you go and make the best fruit salad you can out of it. And I really don't like hearing excuses from directors or actors after the fact when things haven't gone around. You know what, Andrew, I'm your #1 fan, but own it. The film was disappointing. Don't start coming out saying, oh no, it was his fault. No, it was his fault. No, it was his fault. Suck it up. Be a man. It was you and Mark Webb, ultimately, really Mark Webb.
Yeah.
Ultimately in the chair. Play with the cards you're dealt. Maybe it was a sucky group of cards, whatever, but you're still responsible. You know what? If they had handed him all the notes and the movie was awesome, you wouldn't hear Mark Webb and Andrew Garfield coming out. It was really the studio notes that made it work, not us. You know, I don't like that sucking and whining.
I agree with the end part of that, but I also say that from what he's saying in his comments, I didn't really take it as whining, to be honest. I took it as that what the reason that the tone came out the way it was that they shot a different movie, is what he was saying there. And I think it's refreshing to have an actor go out, because he didn't say it the way Shia LaBeouf's did when he comes out with saying the thing about just.
I still love it every time you say LaBeouf.
I will never say his name.
I love it.
And then I will never say his name. But the fact that he just took shots at Spielberg and how horrible it was, and just you know, ugh. This is him saying we made this certain movie, and he wasn't saying it's their fault. I felt he was saying they made certain decisions, and it wasn't the movie I thought we were making. But so I actually did. I thought his comments were refreshing, but I think that at the end of it, I don't know. It just still scares me with everything going on over there.
Correct me if I'm wrong, though. Like, seriously, there's very possible I'm missing something here. From Garfield's comments, and we are going off on a big tangent here, but it sounded like, if I read them right, he was just saying that the studio came in and cut certain things out of the film.
He said there was a lot shot that, and even in the trailers you saw that, yeah.
But if that's the case, then everything that I found wrong with Spider-Man 2 was still there. Like the way they handled the Jamie Foxx character, the way they handled the Paul Giamatti character, the way they did the sudden, transformation of Goblin coming in, all the stuff that I found that didn't work about the movie. If Garfield is concerned that the studio came in and cut things out, well, that means you still had that stuff in there. And that's the stuff for me that didn't work. But
yeah, who knows?
And yet I still say I like the movie. Go figure. Okay, sorry, what's next?
We are now less than 1 year away from the upcoming comedy sequel Ted 2, which will hit AMC theaters on June 26, 2015. It's just been announced that this time around, Mark Wahlberg and Seth MacFarlane will also be joined by Morgan Freeman. Freeman will be playing a famous civil rights lawyer who comes to Ted's aid. David, buy or sell Morgan Freeman joining Ted 2?
Anything that Morgan Freeman does, you buy. Yeah. No matter what. Whether he's doing a car commercial, whether he's talking about dolphins or lemurs in Madagascar or bears, Disney's bear. I mean, you buy Morgan Freeman. When I was young, I remember the first Morgan Freeman film I ever saw was Driving Miss Daisy. I watched it with my mom. I love that movie. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. And he's just endearing. I mean, you hear his voice. I mean, when he's, playing Fox in the Dark Knight trilogy, he's just so calming and soothing and melodic. I mean, I don't know if he's given a great performance in years, maybe since he won his Academy Award, but he's Morgan Freeman. I mean, I'm buying it. I'd love to see him as a civil rights guy in Ted 2, especially Ted. Ted 2 is such a great franchise. So,
Dennis?
I'll buy it as well, but I don't think he's at that point in his career where he's too discerning anymore. He's just kind of floating from movie to movie, collecting paychecks, and he's said as much, so... Yeah.
I love this news because despite A Million Ways to Die in the West, I'm still really looking forward to Ted 2. I loved Ted 2. I think, though, my favorite Morgan Freeman performance of the last little while, aside from, I still think the tragically underrated Las Vegas. I thought that movie was really funny. As somebody who goes to Las Vegas a lot, I really loved Las Vegas. Was his voiceover appearance, I believe he did his own voice in South Park. If you haven't seen it, look it up. Morgan Freeman in South Park. I'm sure there are clips on YouTube. Anyway.
Yeah, I'll buy it. I mean, it's like you said, you buy anything Morgan Freeman's in. He's fun, even if he is collecting checks. He still delivers, and it's always refreshing when he pops up. And to have him doing Seth MacFarlane's comedy is going to be fun. You know he's going to hit some dark moments here and there. So I'm looking forward to it.
All right, what's next?
On yesterday's show, we showed you a couple of low-res pictures of the new Batmobile in the upcoming Batman vs. Superman movie. Later in the day, director Zack Snyder decided to put out his own picture of the car in a message that read, "Here's a real picture of the Batmobile." John, buy or sell this picture of the Batmobile?
Well, here's the funny thing, okay? Yesterday I sold the images because it's like, okay, we've seen this before. These are just lower quality images, something we've already seen before. Like, there are even new pictures of the Millennium Falcon. You've seen that? Aerial, but I didn't even put them in the show because it's like we've already seen it. No big deal. This is different. I buy this. This is giving us a new perspective of this car. Look how badass this car looks.
Yeah.
This, I didn't think it was possible. This is better than the Tumbler from the Nolan movies, I think. Now, I might change my mind once we actually see it in action, but I love this for a couple of reasons. Number one, it looks heavily armored, it looks badass, all that kind of stuff. But the second thing I really like about it is it's got a little bit of comic book in it. I look at this picture and I just see a little bit of comic book in it, and I like that a lot. So despite the fact that yesterday I was selling it because, nothing we haven't seen before, this got me excited. We were all having dinner last night, actually, when that picture came out on my Twitter. I'm like, oh my God, everybody look at this. So I'm excited. What do you think?
I buy it. I mean, it's big. I wonder how he's going to get around corners with it, but it's cool looking, and it looks like, going back to that Rambo conversation, it looks like an old dude who says, you know what, I'm just getting into my technology. I'm going to mow things down. It's like, I'm not the old Batman that I used to be. I'm not going to swing around. I'm getting in my badass car, and Superman, here's my kryptonite guns. Let's go at it.
Yeah, I'm not going to subdue you until the officers are. I'm just going to break your ribs and your legs and leave you there till the cops come.
Yeah.
I buy it as well. It looks awesome. I don't think it's going to be quite as big. If you see the wider shots, it looks a bit smaller. I think it's the perspective of this. Some people were complaining about the guns.
I love the guns.
Well, they don't like them because they think like, oh, Batman doesn't kill. So I'm guessing those are rubber bullets that he's going to be shooting for, like,
get through walls.
Yeah, riot control or something like that. I also like the reasoning too. It's like, okay, some fans take a picture with their iPhone with these crappy pictures from far away and then they get released, everyone's looking at them. So Snyder was like kind of pissed. He's like, well, I want people to see the real Batmobile, and that's why he tweeted out this. Even the photographer got in on the action. He put all this stuff. Well, you know, this isn't some crappy iPhone. I shot this on the Nikon D800 with a 24mm lens, and I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah, I'm so glad you brought that up because it's something. This is a really smart move on their part because it's Snyder and Warner Brothers taking control of the situation. It's like, okay, if that got out, whatever, we're going to take back control of it by simply doing this. It was a great move.
I think I buy it. It looks great. I mean, they're really going off of the Frank Miller. I mean, Nolan likes Frank Miller too. So I mean, if you see Frank Miller when he in Dark Knight Returns, when he attacks the mutants, he has that huge tank. I mean, it's 100 times bigger than that. It's a monstrosity. So I mean, this is a milder version of that. So they're kind of feeding off that Frank Miller story. And it looks great. I mean, I'm definitely going to buy it. I think it looks authentic. The guns will probably shoot off rubber bullets. Batman's not going to start killing people. I don't think that's going to happen.
But you brought up the Miller graphic novel, and the Batman in the Miller graphic novel is like you were saying. He's a little more, I don't care anymore. I just don't care anymore. Right, it's like, you're messing with me. Right. Whatever, hey, I'm going to do some things to you that are going to really hurt, and what happens to you after that, I'm not going to worry about anymore. And that looks like the way they may be going.
We also don't know who he's up against, too.
True.
If he's if he's going up against humans, that might not be for humans. That might be for something else. We don't know what the Justice League eventually is going to face. Right. There was rumors that Doomsday is going to come around. Not that we're going to see him in this movie.
That might be a Superman made.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I said the kryptonite. The
kryptonite bullets.
That's what I'm saying. So we don't know if that's for humans. So that's why don't judge the guns just yet.
All right, folks, so listen, we've got that part of the show for mailbag, but listen, just so you know, today's mailbag is going to be a little bit different. Now, normally we take your email questions, and by the way, you can email us anytime at amcmovietalk@gmail.com. But we're kind of beta testing a phone-in line where you can call in and leave messages. I'm not going to give out the number right now because we've kind of closed off the beta for now, but I wanted to kind of introduce it to you guys who are watching us on AMC Movie Talk. So I pulled out a couple of the phone messages and questions that people called in with, and we're going to share those right now. So let's get to the first phone-in question.
McConaughey in a commercial.
We might be having time.
This guy just won an Oscar, and he's in a Christopher Nolan movie this year. Why is he doing a commercial? Is he worried that his new movie isn't going to make any money? Thanks for taking my question. Please answer it soon. Thank you.
First question was, and I forget the name of the guy who sent in the first question. It's regarding Matthew McConaughey. He said, I just saw a commercial. It's a Lincoln commercial with Matthew McConaughey, and the caller was asking, why is McConaughey doing commercials. He just won an Academy Award. He's got that Christopher Nolan film coming up, Interstellar, and he asked, is he worried that Interstellar isn't going to do so well? So let me ask you, Dennis, why is Matthew McConaughey doing television commercials?
'Cause he likes money. I mean, I don't see anything wrong with it as long as he's not like doing anything that kind of puts him in kind of a denigrating light or something. I don't know. He's not doing anything bad. When I first saw the commercial and I heard it, I was like, is there a new promo for some True Detective Blu-ray set or something like that? Because he's talking that same cadence that he does in the show. Yeah, I don't see anything wrong with it. You have the Samuel Jackson, Jennifer Garner, Charlize Theron, like all of them do commercials, and as long as it doesn't kind of, I did think that Brad Pitt commercial was a bit weird.
Sure,
That was a weird.
It was really weird, but it didn't. It just had people talking about it, but it didn't hurt his career.
And also for them, it's a lot of money for a very limited amount of work.
That's the point, though, right? Because let's look. The average American, I don't know, $40,000 makes a year. Okay, so if you're like an average American, you're making $40,000 a year. Okay, you're making $40,000 a year. If somebody comes up to you and says, "Hey, I will give you $500 for 2.5 hours work," well, you could say, well, why do I need $500? I'm making $40,000 this year because it's $500 for 2.5 hours work. And you know, with McConaughey, he was probably on set for 45 minutes, and they probably cut him a check for $250,000. I don't care how rich you are. You take that gig.
What's the difference between him?
Lawrence just signed on to Dior too. Like it's happening more and more
Yes,
that these
yes,
big actors are taking on these things.
What's the difference between these guys who are in the prime than LeBron James doing a commercial and you know Michael Jordan's commercials or Peyton Manning? It's no difference because just because they're in that medium, people judge it. But he is back. He's in the forefront. He just won an Oscar. That's exactly why you do stuff like this, because it's like. But like Dennis was saying, you make sure you attach yourself to the right brand. Like
he's not selling furniture for the local furniture store.
Well, yeah, it's not like he's doing
7-Eleven.
It's not like he's doing something embarrassing. It's not like he's on camera and he's like, "Are you like me, gentlemen, and you're suffering sexual performance issues? Try Cialis." Like, it's not like he's doing
I've got diarrhea.
He's driving a Lincoln. Okay, how are we with the audio? Are we going to be able to get the audio for the second question?
Yeah, right.
All right, we don't know. We're just going to pass on the audio again. Sorry for this is technical glitches, guys. This is what happens. The second phone-in question that came in was regarding Lord and Miller, of course, the directors of Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, 21 and 22 Jump Street, and of course the Lego Movie. And the question that came in was basically asking, why when we talk about the great directors, why when we talk about the best of the best right now, why do Lord and Miller not get that respect? Are they going to be on that level, David? How would you address that?
They're not going to be on that level. It doesn't mean that they're not going to have success. It doesn't mean they're going to have a good career. I love Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, the Lego Movie, of course. I think the caller said he had seen it like 12 times, and I've done the same thing. But you have to do dramas if you want that kind of prestige. It's just the world we live in. You have to do Schindler's List. You have to do Goodfellas. You have to do The Godfather. You have to do some kind of thing that's going to get you a lot of Academy Award nominations. Now, granted, you know, Bridesmaids, those movies do get respect, but it's not going to get you the same respect as doing a drama. It's not fair. I think these guys are just as talented. I'm sure they're very clever. I mean, how do you get those jokes in the Lego Movie? Those jokes are incredible.
Oh my
I mean, they deserve accolades, but the world we live in, dramas are the ones that you see with like nominated for 13 Academy Awards for Best Dramatic Performance. I mean, dramas are what get you the prestige.
It's not to say they can't jump into another category of the Harold Ramises and the John Hughes of the that type of and the great comedy directors of all time, and then transcend that into being great directors overall. But their career's so young, so we don't know yet. But everything they've done so far is great. So more and more and more.
You just said the absolute key point in all this. Their career is still young.
Yeah.
I mean, I really like Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. I love 21 and 20 Jump Street, and I'm crazy about the Lego Movie. Well, that's 4 movies.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we just had a discussion on AMC Mailbag the other day is it too soon to be heaping the accolades on Christopher Nolan? And that dude is like 8 films in of all supreme excellence, you know? So let's give I love the films they've done so far, but before we start getting into discussions about comparing them to Scorsese or Spielberg or even Harold Ramis, let's give them a little bit more time. And I absolutely agree with what you said, David. I would love to see them tackle a political drama. I would love to see them tackle something where they have to go outside of this box that they're in right now and see how far they can really stretch themselves. Anyway, Dennis, how do you see it?
It's definitely the comedy thing. Yeah. It's unfair, but it's true. In the last several decades, you haven't seen even a straight-up comedy get nominated for an Oscar. You've seen comedies or dramas with comedic
Dramas.
elements. Yeah, exactly. Those will get nominated, but you won't get. And they do straight up comedies. They don't do drama comedies. Maybe they will in the future. Maybe that's when they'll get their accolades and respect. But right now, doing straight up comedies doesn't get you the nominations that maybe they should, but they won't. So, and also the whole young thing, their career is just starting now.
Well, it's hard too. I mean, look at, granted, different types of tones of movie, but don't forget about how hot the Farrelly brothers were for a very long time.
yeah.
And then they are hoping that Dumb and Dumber 2 is good because their movie 43,
Yeah, Dumb and Dumber 2 does not look so good.
it's not. That's the thing is that, but the different types of comedies and very slapsticky as a point. They have more character development in their movies, but just saying that it's hard to break out a comedy sometimes.
All right, folks, well, we have run out of time on today's show. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of AMC Movie Talk. Listen, don't forget, lots of great films playing at AMC Theaters right now. Head on over to www.amctheaters.com for all your theater, showtime, and, of course, your movie ticket information. If you do want an audio-only version of this episode, look in the description of this video, and you'll find our podcast feed. Don't forget to click the thumbs up button and subscribe to our YouTube channel. I want to thank, first of all, the guy sitting on my immediate right, Mr. Dennis Zen. Dennis, where can people find you online?
You guys can find me on Twitter at ThinkyHero and on Instagram, dennis.tzng, and I'll be posting my pictures from France there.
Looking forward to that. And, of course, our very special guest today from ScreenRant.com, Mr. David Griffin. David, where can people find you online?
You can find me on Twitter at GriffinDE and is on Screen Rant on my authors page. Just type in David Griffin in the search and you'll find me.
And, of course, Mr. Christian Harloff. Christian, where can people find you online?
Twitter at Christian Harloff, and you can check out my website, schmoesno.com.
And, of course, you can find me on all the various social media networks just at John Campia. Thanks a lot for joining us, guys. My name's John Campia for AMC Movie News. And, wait, Chris Lee Kennedy is sitting over there. Everyone's going over there. Well, look, I'm still John Campia. You can still follow me on the various social media networks. But, Chris Lee, where can people find you online?
I'm back for one day and gone again, but you guys can find me on Twitter at Chris Lee, and I'll see you guys next week on Wednesday.
So that'll do it for us, folks. Thanks again for joining us. My name's John Campia for AMC Movie News. And until next time, bye-bye.
Hey everyone, if you liked this video, click that thumbs up button and make sure to subscribe to our AMC Movie News YouTube channel. It's free and helps you stay up to date with all the latest movie news, as well as our daily AMC Movie Talk show. Also, make sure that you follow us on Facebook and Twitter to stay up to date with all of our special promotions, contests, and prize giveaways.